Yeah, so thank you everyone. I'll try to show you how you do installation of the fair data point, which we have done for installation in our we have in what Prof was showing. We have one of our fair data points that were indexed, I think, for Vodan, which we also used for training purposes. In that, we have tried to publish some metadata. It was also used for training in testing purposes. The whole idea of this fair data point is to act as an entry point for
Samson, are you, sorry to interrupt, are you
Samson, we can see your slide.
Hello?
We need to see your screen.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, see it now.
Okay, so yeah, sorry. So it's used for metadata publishing because we want to publish our metadata so that our data becomes accessible depending on the access conditions. So the version that I will be showing you, which is version 1.7, is enabled for robust production grade deployment, and it uses Docker Compose for deployment, and the core components include the fair data point, the triple store, which can be either Allegro graph or it can be Blazor graph or any other graph, and also it uses Nginx as a reverse proxy for HTTP, and we've used Let's Encrypt for SLL certificate generation. Some of the terms are, I think, clear for those of you who have a computer science background, but to sort of also provide others a perspective into what this Docker Compose or Docker stands for is it's a way of containerization of an application. What usually happens is that you develop some application and then you try to deploy that application. So there is this means that, well, it works on my computer, but it doesn't work on your computer. What's happening in this and that? So Docker was created as a way of containerization of application to sort of ship an application if it works properly on your machine so that it works elsewhere. So the fair data point uses that principle to deploy the fair data point, and that's what we followed. So what you would need is you would need to install Docker Engine and Docker Compose on your host computer. You might need to have a name for your fair data point. It could be fdp.vodan.health or something like that. And the other, are you hear me clearly? Sorry for the background noise.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. So the other thing that you might need is, in our case, for instance, for the Digital Health Research and Development Center at Maghal University, which we have dhicenter.com, and you can have this from any domain name provider, and you will need for security reasons, you need SLL certificates. but you can also get them for free from Let's Encrypt, which of course require renewal every 3 months, but you can still put in a cron job that can do an automatic renewal of those certificates, and your application is going to run on port 80. But it's not a must because you can configure it to run elsewhere. But for the HTTP, it would be on port 80, and HTTPS, the default port is on 443. You can also run it using a public IP, but for test purposes, you might also as well use what you call local host deployment. So as many of the servers and for security reasons, and also to avoid licensing requirements, most servers these days use a Linux environment. So our preference is for you to try and do it in Linux operating system. But I understand that many of you also use Windows in your day-to-day activities. So what you can do also is you can use Windows subsystem for Linux, which will allow you to have a Linux-based access on your Windows machine itself. So if you go to Start and click on PowerShell, and if you open PowerShell, you should be able to run in if you run it as an admin, and if you do ws minus install, then you would be able to install the Windows subsystem for Linux. It would require you to restart it, and after you restart, if you do WSL minus minus version, then you should be able to see the version that you've installed. You can type in there Ubuntu, for instance, if by default I think it installs Ubuntu. If you type in Ubuntu and if you press enter, it will take you to a command prompt, like if I think you are only seeing this screen. Let me reshare and share my entire window so that if you click Windows PowerShell, then this is PowerShell that you're going to run into. If you type in Ubuntu, then you are on a Linux, so you can do sudo update to do an update of your OS. So you should be able to run your sorry. So there you can do an update. You can do install some of the dependencies that you would need for you to be able to install Docker on your system. If you like, you can just copy this command and paste it, and then you can make those directories, and you can download these dependencies for you to be able to install Docker and Docker Compose. This is for those of you who don't have Docker already, or who don't have Linux machine on your servers. If you already have Linux installed on your servers, which in some of the university servers, which you already would have, and I think because also Docker-based applications are very common these days, I assume you would also have Docker already installed. But if you don't, these are the commands that would help you install Docker into your your system, then you these are the remaining commands that you'd have to be running to install Docker and Docker Compose. So once you have those installed, like I said earlier, you'd need to have for your web services, you would need Nginx. You would need also other components like MongoDB for the database. You would need Allegro Graph for the triple store, and or Blazor Graph, and you would need other components as well. So you can leave the default configuration on your machine as it is, and you can create a directory on which you would want to install your FDP. For instance, if you are, because you're using Linux, you can say make directory FDP. Then you'd have an FDP folder. Then if you go cd, if you change your directory into I called it FPD actually. Here you can also you can also write make directory Nginx, and here is where you would need to create all these files. You would need for the Nginx configuration file, you would need nginx.conf, site available fdp.conf, and also you would be enabling the site. But before you do that, you would also need to install the certbot, which will allow you to do SSL generation. If you have not bought one, or if your institution does not have one, what you can do is you can do SSL generation using certbot. What you do is you do apt install. These are just comments that I think after the presentation, I will provide you those details. In fact, there is also a documentation on how to do it. You only need to do copy this and then paste it. This -y is to say yes by default. Then you can generate. Here you would have to use the site name of yours. For instance, for us, it was dhicenter.com. So it doesn't, as long as I know, it doesn't allow generation of certificates for if you don't have a domain name. So you would, it has to be with a domain name. Otherwise, your FTP will run not on HTTPS, but on HTTP. The difference is when it is HTTPS, it's secured, and the data transfer and everything is encrypted. That's why we need those four. Then when you generate, you will have those files generated into ECT Let's Encrypt. In this, you will find them in this directory. So once you have those configured, I think the best place for you to start would be if you follow the documentation here. This is the documentation basically that is presented on for production deployment, which I was trying to highlight on, where you create those things to be able to configure your reverse proxy. Then you'd have to save this in the Nginx file, calling it nginx.conf. You'd need to copy this and put it there. And when you do that, you'd have to also add this one on your on the same folder but on a different file, and you need to change this into the name of the your URL, for instance, thicenter.com, and this is the Let's Encrypt. It will usually generate two files, full chain and private key. This is like the private and public key encryption that would represent your domain, and you'd have to also replace this by the name in which you've generated it when you using the startbot command that we tried to see here, where you used the name that you used for the installation. So these are the things that you'd need, and once you've done that, you probably link your main thing that you would need would be the Docker Compose YML file and the application YML file. These are the two main configurations you would need when you are trying to install here the usually Docker based applications can come in the form of an image which is pre-compiled, or you can they can come in as a source that can be built. So what you do is you put the right image that you're using for in this case, for instance, for Nginx. You would need also for FDP, which is 1.70. You would need the image for MongoDB as you wish, and if it is Blazor graph, you use Blazor. If you want to configure it this to Allegro graph, then you would have to change this to Allegro graph. The documentation also has it in there. The other file that you would need to carefully configure is the application.yml, where you try to put the your FTP, and you can also put in your persistent URL. This persistent URL, this is just an example. You would have to go and register on PURL. If PURL is what you want your persistent identifier to be, you would have to also generate a key, and you'd have to replace this as well. These are the configuration changes that you'd need to make for your installation. Once that's done, then the next step is also indicated here on the manual, where you'd basically shows you the different options of, for instance, if you want to use Allegro graph, this is where you would want to change, and then also provide a configuration. If you want also to change them to different things, you can configure them here. Once this configuration is done, or the only command that you'll be running would be Docker Compose up or Docker Compose down to sort of either run it up or down. Then it will start. For instance, I have here, if I